क्या होगा भैया, बड़ा थूक खांसी सब आ रहा है। 1930 घटना 1919 के बाद। सही है। The background to the two movement was provided by the series of the event after the First World War, which believed all hopes of the government generosity towards the Indian subject, and the year 1919 in the particular saw a strong feeling of discontent among all sections of Indians for the various reasons. The economic situation of the country in the post-war years had become alarming, and with a rise in the prices of commodities, decreases in the production of Indian industries, increasing in the burden of taxes and the rents, etc. So almost all sections of the society suffered economic hardship due to the war, and this strengthened the anti-British attitudes. The Rowlatt Act, the imposition of martial law in the Punjab, and the Jallianwala Bagh massacre exposed the brutal and the uncivilized face of the foreign rule. So Hunter Committee on the Punjab atrocities proved to be an I was in fact the House of the Lords of the General Dyers published the solidarity with the general, the helping the Morning Post collected this one. So the post First World War period was also so the preparation of the ground and the political actions by the Hindus and the Muslim, the Lucknow Pact and the stimulated Congress Muslim League cooperation, the Rowlatt agitation and all these kind of things, the Khilafat issue. The Khilafat issues paved the way for the consolidation of the emergence of the radical nationalist trend among the younger generation of the Muslim and the section of traditional Muslim scholars, and were they becoming the increasingly the critical of the British rule. This time they were the angered by the treatment meted out the Turkey by the British after the Muslim in the India has a Muslim all over the world regarded the Sultan of Turkey as the spiritual leader. Khalifa was so naturally their sympathies were to be the Turkey during the war. Turkey had allied with the German and Austria against the British. When the war ended, the British took a stern attitude toward the Turkey. Turkey was dismembered and the Khalifa removed from the power, and this incensed the Muslim all over the world. In India too, the Muslim demanded from the British and that the Caliph's control over the Muslim sacred places and should be retained, and the Khalifa should be the left with the sufficient territories. After territories arrangement in the early 1990s, Khalifa committees was formed under the leadership of Ali brothers. Even thought of the Hassan Rouhani to the force of British government to change its attitude toward the Turkey. Thus, the ground for the countrywide agitation was spread. अर्थी अर्थी गया लगा हाँ और पर जब फोन ले लो नंदन बोलो For some time, the Khilafat leaders limited their the actions to the meeting, the petition, and the deputation in the favor of the Khilafat. Later, however, a military emerged demanding an active agitation such as the stopping all cooperation with the British. India Khilafat Conference held in Delhi in the November 1919, a call for was made for the boycott of the British goods, and the Khilafat leaders also they clearly spelled out that the unless peace terms and after the war were favorable to Turkey, they would stop all cooperation with the government. Gandhi, who was the president of the All India Khilafat Committee, so in the issues a platform forum which mass and the united non-cooperation could be the declared against the government. So Congress stand on the Khilafat question. So it was the quite clear that the support of the Congress was essential for the Khilafat movement to succeed. However, although Gandhi was in favor in launching Satyagraha and the non-cooperation against the government of the Khilafat issue, the Congress was not united. This form of the political action, Tilak was opposed to having an alliance with the Muslim leaders over religious issues, and he was also the skeptical of the Satyagraha as an instrument of politics. And according to the professor Ravinder Kumar Gandhi, and made a concerted bid a convince and Tilak of the virtues of Satyagraha and of the expediencies of the alliance with the Muslim community over the Khilafat issue. There was a opposition to some of the other provisions of the Gandhi non-cooperation program, and also such as boycott of the council. Later, however, Gandhi was able to get the approval of the Congress for his program of political action, and the Congress felt inclined to the support of the non-cooperation program on the Khilafat question because it was felt that this was a golden opportunity to the cement the Hindu Muslim unity and they bring the Muslim masses into the national movement. Now the different section of society, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, a Christian, a peasant, an artisan, capitalist, tribals, women, student, and could come into the national movement by the fighting for their own rights and the realizing that the colonial rule was posed to them. So the Congress was losing faith in the constitutional struggle, especially after the Punjab incident and the from some time, Khilafat leader limited their action to meeting parties over petition and the deputation in the favor of the Khilafat leader. Later, however, militant trend emerged demanding an active agitation such as stopping all cooperation with the British. All India Khilafat conference held in Delhi in the November 1919 and was made for the boycott of British goods. These Khilafat leaders also clearly spelled out that unless the peace terms after the war were favorable to Turkey, and they would stop all cooperation with the government. Gandhi, who was the president of the All India Khilafat Committee, saw in the issues to platform from the which masses and united in cooperation. So it was quite clear that the support of the Congress was essential for the Khilafat movement to succeed. However, although Gandhi was in favor of the launching the Satyagraha and non-cooperation against the government on the Khilafat issues, the Congress was not the united on this form of the political action. Tilak was opposed to having an alliance with the Muslim leaders over religious issues, and he was also the spectacle of the Satyagraha as an instrument to politics. So, according to Professor Ravinder Kumar, Gandhi made as a concerted bid to convince the Tilak of the virtues of the Satyagraha and of the expediency of the alliance with the Muslim community over the Khilafat issues. So this was opposition to some of the other provisions of the Gandhi's non-cooperation program, also such as boycott of the council. Later, however, Gandhiji was able to get the approval of the Congress for the program of the political action, and the Congress felt inclined to support a non-cooperation program on the Khilafat question. So it was felt that this was a golden opportunity to cement the Hindu-Muslim unity. Non-cooperation Khilafat movement. February 1920 in the early 1920 a joint Hindu-Muslim deputation was sent to the Viceroy to seek the readdress the grievances on the issues of Khilafat, but also mission proved abortive. So in February 1920, Gandhiji announced that the issues of the Punjab wrongs and the constitutional advance had been overshadowed by the Khilafat question, and that he would soon lead a movement of the non-cooperation if the terms of the peace treaties failed to satisfy the Indian Muslim. So May 1930, the Treaty of Service with the Turkey signed in the May 1920 completely dismembered Turkey. So 1920 in all party conference at Allahabad approved the program of the boycott school college. 31 अगस्त 1920 the Khilafat Committee started the campaign of non-cooperation and the movement was formally launched. Tilak had incidentally breathed his last on August 1920. Tilak. At a special session in the Calcutta, the Congress approved that non-cooperation program till the Punjab and the Khilafat wrongs were removed and the Swaraj was stabilized and the program was to be included. So boycott of the government schools and the colleges, boycott of the law courts and the dispensation of the justice through the Panchayati instead, boycott of legislative council. There were some differences over this as some leaders like C.R. Das were not willing to include a boycott of council but board to Congress the discipline. These the leaders boycotted the elections and held in the November 1920 and the majority of the voters to stayed away. So boycott of the foreign cloth and use of the khadi instead also practice of the hand spinning to be done. So renunciation of the institute also the practice of the hand spinning to be done. 1920 at the Nagpur session of the Indian Congress National, the program of the non-cooperation was introduced. An important change was made in the Congress secret, and now instead of having the attainment of the self-government through the constitutional means as its goal, and the Congress decided to have the attainment of the Swaraj through the peaceful and the legitimate means and that. So some important congratulation change can be made in the Congress Working Committee. 50 members are said to be the led to the Congress from now onwards and Provincial Congress Committee on the linguistic ways have been done. So Gandhiji declared that if the non-cooperation program was implemented completely, Swaraj will be the artist within the years. So many groups of the liberation territories, especially those from the Bengal, and also the pledged to support to the Congress program. So at this stage, some leaders like the Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Annie Besant, G.S. Kharpade, and B.C. Pal left the Congress as they believed in a constitutional and the lawful struggle. So while some others like the Surendranath Banerjee founded the Indian National Liberal Federation. Surendranath Banerjee founded the Indian National Liberal Federation and played a minor role in the national politics in further. So the adoption by the Congress of the एक पेन पेपर देना नहीं है तुम लोग बस यू डोंट हैव पेन और पेपर डोंट हैव सर डोंट हैव कैसे होगा बच्चा तुमको नहीं है तो थोड़ा सा फ़ोन देना बाबू जरा सा 1 सेकंड के लिए राजीव भाई 1 मिनट के लिए पेन देना मेरा पेपर है कि तुम्हारा वाला है यूट्यूब लगा के दो यूट्यूब ताकि इधर से नोट कर पाए कहता है सुरेंद्रनाथ बैनर्जी फाउंडेड इंडियन नेशनल लिबरल फेडरेशन ले लो तो the adoption by the Congress of the non-cooperation movement and the initiated earlier by the Khilafat Committee gave it is a new energy and the year 1921 and 1922 saw an unprecedented popular upsurge. Spirit of the movement. Gandhiji accompanied by the Ali brothers and undertook a nationwide tour. Thousands of the students left the government school and colleges and that joined around that. So this educational institution were organized under the leadership of the Acharya नरेंद्र देव, सी आर दास, Lala Lajpat Rai, Zakir Hussain or Subhash Bose, and who became the principal of National College at Calcutta. And they included the Jamia Millia at the Aligarh, Kashi Vidyapit, Gujarat, and Vidyapit and the Bihar Vidyapit. So many lawyers gave up the practice, some of the whom were the Navatulal Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, C.R. Das, and Rajagopalachari, Shafiuddin Kechulu, Vallabhbhai Patel, Ansapalli, and the Prakarasam and the Rajendra Prasad. He forbade the foreign clothes wear the burnt and publicly, and their imports fell by the half, and picketing of the soap selling and the foreigner liquor and of the 2D and soaps were undertaken at the many places. The Tilak Swaraj fund was what oversubscribed, and some crore rupees were collected. So Congress volunteer corps emerged as the parallel police, and in the July 1921, the Ali brothers gave a call to the Muslim to resign from the army, as it was the unreligious, and the Ali brothers were arrested for this in the September. So Gandhi ensured this call and asked the local Congress committee to pass a similar resolution to that effect. So now the Congress gave a call to the local Congress bodies to start civil disobedience. To civil disobedience, if it was thought that people were ready to for it already, no tax movement agitation brought and taxes Midnapur and Guntur of Ilaka. So in Assam, strikes in the tea plantation and the steamers and the services, and that the spirit of defiance and unrest gave rise to the many local struggles such as the Awadh Kisan movement, Eka movement, Mopila revolt, Awadh Kisan movement, Eka movement, and the Mopila revolt, and Malabar Sikh agitation for the removal of Mahans in Punjab. So people response. So middle class people were middle class, average, business class, student class, and all these classes. Last phase of the movement, the response of the government. Tilak between talks between Gandhi and Lord Reading, the Viceroy broke down in the May 1921 as the government wanted to Gandhi to urge that Ali brothers to remove those portions off from the speeches which they suggested violence. Gandhi realized that the government was trying to derive a wedge between him and the Khilafat leaders and refused to fall into the trap. So in December, the government came down heavily on the protesters, and volunteers crop were declared illegal public meeting and were banned, and the press were gagged, and the most of the leaders bearing Gandhiji were arrested. So Gandhiji were arrested. The last phase of the movement, Gandhi was now under the increasing pressure from the Congress rank, and the filed the start of civil disobedience program. The Ahmedabad session in the 1921 presided over the incidentally by the C.R. Das while still in jail. C.R. Das, C.R. Das, C.R. Das, 1921. जेल था 1921 में जेल में था. Presided over incidentally by the C.R. Das while still in jail. Hakim Ajmal Khan was the acting president, appointed Gandhi the sole authority on the issues. So on February 1, 1922, Gandhiji threatened to launch civil disobedience movement Bardoli if the political president Chori Chora incident. So a small sleepy village named the Chori Chora, Gorakhpur district in United Province has found a what place in the history books due to that incident of violence on the February 5, 1922, and which was to prompt the Gandhi to withdraw the movement, and the police here had beaten up the leader of a group of volunteers and campaigning against the liquor sale and high food prices, and then opened fire on the crowd and which had come to the protest before the police station, and the agitation crowded the torch to the police station, and with the policemen inside which had taken shelter, and there those who tried to flee were the hacked to death and thrown back into the fire. So 22 policemen were killed in the violence. Gandhiji, not happy with the increasingly violent of the movement, immediately announced the withdrawal of the movement. The Congress Working Committee met at Bardoli in the February 1922 and so working committee met at Bardoli in the February 1922 and the resolved to stop all activities that led to breaking of the laws and get down to the constructive work instead, which was to include the polarization of Khadi National School and campaigning for the temperance for the Hindu-Muslim unity and against the untouchability. Most of the nationalist leaders include C.R. Das, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, Jawaharlal Nehru, or however expressed their bewilderment at the Gandhi's decision to the withdrawal of the movement. In March 1922, Gandhi was arrested and sentenced to 6 years in jail. He made the occasion memorable by the magnificent court speech, "I am here, therefore, to invite and submit cheerfully to the highest penalty that can be inflicted upon me for what in a law is deliberate crime, and what appears to me to be the highest duty of citizen." Gandhiji felt that people had not learnt or understood the method of the non-violence incident like Chori Chora could lead to the kind of excitement and favor that would turn the movement to become generally violent. A violent movement could be easily suppressed by the colonial regime and which would make the incident of the violence an excuse for the using the armed might of the state against the protesters. So the movement was also the showing the sign of fatigue, and this was the natural as it is not possible to sustain the any movement at the mood for the negotiation. So in the central theme of the agitation that Khilafat question also dissipated the soon in the November 1922, the people of the Turkey rose under the Mustafa Kemal and Pusha and deprived that the Sultan of political power. Turkey was made as a secular state and thus the Khilafat question lost its relevance, and the European style of the legal system was established in Turkey and the extensive rights granted to women education and was nationalized, and the modern agriculture and the industries development in the 1924 the Khilafat was the abolished. कि नहीं लग रही है तो मुर्गा खाएगा, रात में देवघर जाएगा, 12 बजे रात घूम के आएगा, दिन भर स्कूल में कपड़ा साफ करेगा तो नींद लगवे नहीं करेगा क्या? अब मेरा टाइम कहाँ होगा? अभी मेरा टाइम तो शुरू हुआ, अभी आधा घंटा लेट है। कभी पढ़ता है नहीं। अब हल्ले इतना कर रहे हैं कि कुछ पढ़ने में मन नहीं है। आप हल्ले इतना कर रहे हैं, आप रूम में जाइए, वहाँ हल्ला कीजिए। अपना गुना भगा करो। गुना भगा की करेंगे, कुछ है ही नहीं, गुना भगा करिए। वो रूम में बैठना, कान में ईयरफोन लगाओ, वो रूम में बैठो एकदम आराम से। ना आपको हल्ला करना, आप अपना रूम में जाइए, हल्ला कीजिए। हल्ला करने का जगह लाइब्रेरी है, वहाँ तो हल्ला नहीं करने देगा। मामी सोई है, चाहे मामी उठाइए, हल्ला करके पढ़ते रहिए घर में। तुम भी हल्ला बंद करो, हम हल्ला बंद कर रही हूँ। तुम्हारा हल्ला क्या करेगा? क्या होती है हल्ला? ये अपने अपने पास रखो। हल्ला कर रहा है, कौन करो उसको? आवाज़ आ रहा है, वो उसका आवाज़ नहीं आ रहा, कहाँ बोल रहे हैं? तुम भी उसी तरह लो, तुम भी लगाओ ब्लूटूथ। ब्लूटूथ नहीं है मेरे पास, नहीं खरीद के ला तब तुम चलाना वीडियो, नहीं तो वीडियो आवाज़ एकदम जीरो करो। देखो आवाज़ कर रहा है। PDF देखो, हम लोग जिस तरह देख रहे हैं। एगो कुर्सी उधर वो रूम में है ना,
हम्म,
उसको उधर ही रहने देना।
वहाँ था।
कितना बजे तुम लोग जग जाता है?
10 बजे
जगता कितना बजे?
सुबह, वही 4:30 बजे तक नींद टूट जाता है। छोड़ते हैं वही 4:30 बजे 5 बजे।
कितना बजे जगता? 2 बजे नहीं, 1 बजे?
खंड
तो
उठते हैं। यहाँ हम लोग का एक चीज गलती होता है, सो उठते हैं इधर न तो वहाँ सुखला का छात दिख जाता है। सुबह सुबह जतरे खराब करता है।
फिर घूम के सोना।
4:30 बजे तो 5 बजे।
तो इधर घूम के देगा सोना, इधर माथा कर लेना, क्या दिक्कत है? इधर माथा नहीं होगा? कहे
कमर से इधर वेट ज्यादा होता है, उस पर रखेंगे वो टूट जाएगा।
ये और सकता ही बोला।
गरबा वेट नहीं होता, गरबा रहेगा तो दिक्कत नहीं है।
हम्म,
गरबा उधर रहता है तो दिक्कत नहीं होता।
हाँ बात सही है।
इसमें कुछ लगाना होगा। आज हम इधर देखबेन किए थे, तुमने आया था। सोनी सुबह उठे आराम से साली करके रख दी। तुम हमारे टाइम देखना पड़ता है।
उधर तो सुबह यही करना देखते हैं सबसे पहले।
तो वैसे उधर क्या सो के दिखते? जानते हो उधर पेड़ है, इधर उड़ जाओ, इधर से उधर चल जाओ।
दिख ही जाता है फिर।
कैसे दिख जाएगा? उधर देखने तो टारगेट।
मौसम के साथ मतलब अंधेरा है नहीं।
तो उधर देखेगा, टाइम देखो, निकलो, कहानी खत्म। टाइम नहीं, घड़ी नहीं रहे तो कहाँ जाए?
अरे 10 मिनट पूर्व बचना, ये तो सूख गया तो है।
वो अभी सूखा नहीं है, अभी है। मरा हुआ पेड़ थोड़े वो जिंदा है। उसका वो डरिया को सूख गया तो उससे क्या दिक्कत है?
चलिए 9:30 हो गया।
चलो लगा दो तुम लोग।
अरे चलो नहा धो के कष्ट